Alright, this is a long one. This is probably the worst VTuber manager I've seen. It's actually appalling how bad this nigga is, to be honest. We have locking talents accounts, verbal abuse, gaslighting, leaking private info, withholding projects, using talents to promote their girlfriend, threatening blacklisting, using AI against the talent's will, using talents' mental health against them, not fulfilling contractual obligations, pitting talents against each other, and claiming 50% ownership of talents' events/projects. And remember, read this doc for yourself.
No!
The shit is long. But again, I would at least suggest you skim over it to form your own opinion. Link in the description. Now, this document goes over the experiences of 5 talents: Plotty, Guilty, Orca, me, and Bibli. And also serves as an assertion to give Bibli darling their shit back.
My fault, OG.
As of recording this video, he has her accounts and IP held hostage. And is also one of the reasons why I want to make a video on it. Plus, this nigga seems vile, and I personally hope nobody falls victim to his bullshit. Let's not jump the gun though. Let's talk about it.
Oh my god, is that StaticTokyo?
Plotty.
This flirty? Maybe. What is this? No!
That's quite big.
No, it's not big!
Impressive.
No, it's not big!
So, Plotty signed with Shino in December of 2023, the month before her debut, as like a trial that leads up to the actual debut date. Just for added context, while Shino is the manager, he also has like a talent agency. Now, I went back to try to get you some footage of what Flask looks like. The Twitter account's still here. The YouTube account is still here. However, their LinkedIn and their like website is fucking gone.
The next day, the motherfucker was dead.
I don't know what's up with that. Called Flask, which is what these VTubers are being signed to. That's why the word talent is thrown around so much. Everything was chill at the start, minus the lore not being completed, but other than that, things were fine. After the trial run with Shino, Plotty signed a 3-month contract and a longer contract that ended January of 2025. They say they can't really provide video proof or evidence for everything, but they do got some screenshots and videos for a lot of these claims. Everything was fine until October 2024. There were weird pockets of time where the nigga just wasn't there or helping, even though he was contractually obligated to. Shino would just not attend meetings, clips and videos not being delivered on time or at all, to the point that Plotty started to record the few times Shino would pop up because things got sketchy. This is completely legal, by the way, due to the one-party consent law. Another talent by the name of Bibli ended up dipping at the end of October, early November, and shit hit the fan. Shino pulled everyone in call and said, guys, Bibli is crazy. Bibli would get drunk as hell all the time, steal money from him, that she would say horrible things about the other talents, and that Bibli wouldn't speak to him, and due to that, he just took Bibli's YouTube account hostage, which legally Bibli owns per the contract that Bibli signed, which we'll get into way later. Now, Plotty admits that she should have said something at the time, and she regrets it. Bibli and Plotty did have a bit of a falling out during this time, and Shino used this to his advantage. Shino still has control over Bibli's business email, non-safe for her Twitter, and her TikTok. Shino then asks for the talents not to speak to Bibli, which seems to be a common tactic in situations, as we've seen multiple times in the past, unfortunately. And that's when Shino started to talk shit and spread rumors to sabotage Bibli's chances of finding managers. He would try to prove this by sending screenshots of him in VCs with other managers and say he was a god among managers and they all listened to him. We know that nigga's lying. He would mention this stuff when he felt that Plotty was quote-unquote misbehaving because he knew a manager of another VTuber group that Plotty was friends with, to imply the threat that Plotty might lose her homies if she wouldn't listen, which is just corny. Now, Plotty runs a VSMP mainly for the game Rust. She put this whole thing together mostly by herself. Shino helped them on one occasion at the very beginning out of the 6 months it's been open, but other than that, bro had nothing to do with it. The day that the server was supposed to open, February 9th, 2024, Plotty was locked in. Even took the day off from their day job to get this shit moving for real. Over 100 niggas were participating. She was in the VC with the server mod and her server partner the whole day. Shino came and called every once in a while and just didn't speak. Brody even fell asleep and was hitting the loud ass honk shoe while they were trying to work. Shino comes back at the end of the day, 45 minutes before the grand opening, and starts yelling at Plotty and said he needed to drag her from the call to speak to her privately. Basically, just pressing Plotty crazy for seemingly no reason. There is recording of the talk when Shino dragged her into the private call, which I will play bits of here and there. If you want to watch the full thing, link in the description.
I'm not gonna beat around the bush here. Is there something you and Guilty have a problem with Amelisa's debut?
No. Why?
Because neither of you have interacted with any of her debut stuff. It's
I
seemed a little odd.
I saw your message a minute ago, but I've literally been trying to get the server running. I've been making these thumbnails for the last, like, you came in here. I've been delegating and, like, working I have not even done my job today. Like, I saw your message earlier, but other than that, like, her stuff doesn't pop up on my timeline a ton. So I didn't even know about it until, like, a day or so ago.
Now, I'm gonna be a real hater real quick. This nigga sounds nasally as hell. It's just like breathe, bro, breathe. Bro is basically upset that Guilty, Orca, and Plotty weren't reposting his girlfriend's debut.
Because the last I heard, she told me about it being art. Like, she messaged me about it, like, a while back, and I told her it looked good, and she sent me sketches. So I didn't even know she had a debut that was coming up that fast. But she doesn't interact with me or anything like that.
She stopped interacting with you guys because she said every time she did, it seemed like you guys were ignoring her. And this is for you and Guilty. And to be fair, I haven't noticed any of you guys interact with any of her stuff, but I've made a conscious effort to making sure that she was interacting first and not necessarily asking for anything, but just actually there. And I know that she has been. So although I do know you guys have been busy, it does seem somewhat targeted. And at this point, I feel like I felt the need to address it just because I've literally seen you guys interacting with multiple other people's debuts, and just it seemed whether it's intentional or not, it comes across as if you, Orca, and Guilty are ignoring hers. Which,
okay,
if that is your case and you're actually doing, that's okay. I just wanted to make sure that's not actually going on, or there's something else I should know about.
No, I just literally didn't know anything about it, and it didn't show up on my feed, and until you like added us, and even then I didn't see it until like the next day when you added us because I wasn't looking at it.
Now here's the thing. The girlfriend, Amelisa, has no ties to Plotty. They don't really interact, but for some reason, Plotty was expected to use her platform to help her out.
Stay underground, bro. You ain't never getting out the hood.
It was just a general back and forth over dumb shit. When Plotty was occupied with hella work already, Plotty ends up realizing the day after that this interaction was just high-key weird, and that they strong-armed her to repost some shit about a person she doesn't even know very well. Plotty even spoke with her therapist about this, and ended up messaging Shino about boundaries, which Shino kind of said, I just want you guys to get along, and a retweet takes 7 seconds. Like, bro, you could have waited until Plotty got done with the Rust thing, at least. I feel like a retweet could have waited a day or two. And it's not like this is the Vtuber group. Keep that in mind, bro is just a manager. This is like expecting all the talents from Mythic Talent to support each other. They aren't obligated to do so. Shino then kind of tweaks out and apparently argues more in a meeting with Plotty, calling her names, gaslighting her, etc. She says she has the call recorded, but didn't want to put it in the proof folder because it has a bunch of her personal information in it. But if needed, she can and will go through and edit all the parts with personal info out. Bro then tweaks out more and goes into Plotty's VSMP Discord in the VC with like 10 people and promoted Amelisa to them. Like, even paying people to raid her, which I don't think is technically allowed, but who knows. He was also speaking erratically and singing Shaggy. So a lot of people thought he was just wasted. Shit, he might have been wasted. And when Plotty tried to talk to him about this instance, bro was just aggressive, apparently. Now, Plotty has limited interaction with Shino at this point, due to bro just not showing up to meetings or showing up really late.
I'm in the middle of nowhere, nigga. Look at this shit.
These meetings was to go over a project that Plotty has been working on since early October. He was unfortunately forced to leak this news due to Shino randomly being like, you see, half of this shit? Yeah, this shit's mine.
It's free real estate.
He claimed ownership of 50% of her projects, basically.
Oh, man, I can't have shit in this house!
And Plotty has a recording of this as well. Now, this video is long as hell, but bro basically runs the idea that they co-own the project, even though he doesn't claim any ownership over Orca's events or tournaments, and basically thinks that doing his job as a manager means that he should be listed as co-owner.
and I'm not abandoning it. I guess the simplest
That's
way to
not
put it
really.
is
I guess I don't. If
I'd
we're,
be working the homo.
I understand that, but I like you. I have also been working really hard on it too, but like just deciding that you were co-owner of it is
I will be. We can have a conversation about that.
Is this nigga serious or what?
yeah.
We
That's
can go
what I'm
back up
trying to
there.
do.
All right. So, from my perspective, three things. One, you did say that you wanted to do a singing competition, correct? That was something you've wanted to do for a while.
Yes.
You tried a couple of them, didn't like how they were done. That's totally fair. I have seen a couple singing competitions, haven't been too impressed with them. They even been a part, like in terms of like just being on the editing team for a couple of them. Haven't been like, you know, too impressed with how they ran, and thought a lot about basically your experience and my experience, what I did differently. The original doc and the original idea for this, I sat for an entire day and fleshed out the entire ideas of everything of what I would do to make a dope singing competition.
Crazy part is, if you watch the video, bro kind of dodges Plotty's questions and concerns about her not liking that she is really only given 50% of her shit. Granted, yes, he did make a document laying out his ideas, which was mostly ChatGPT giving rules and TOS and episodes based on the show Plotty thought of, but Shotty revealed all, if not most of the ideas for the project.
Do you own Orca's DVD tournament that you helped with?
Do I own Dorca's DVD tournament? I don't.
Orca's.
Oh, so let me be clear. Orca, you mean the Orca's tournament? If Orca wants to do a tournament, she can do a tournament. However, I can and will probably still do my own Survivor Rush on my own.
That's
And
not
I'll
what
be
I'm
blunt.
saying. I'm just saying like.
I don't own. So like, if you, I guess my point is, in this scenario, when I'm crediting everybody, I'm gonna say you created it, I created it as co-creators. If we split off later and like you decide, hey, I still want to do V-Singer on my own, you're a creator, I'm fine with you doing it on your own. If I decide later that I want to do it on my own and we're not talking, I'll do my own thing. But I'm not giving full rights of everything that I've put onto this and just being like, oh yeah, I'm never touching this again, even though I put a bunch of time and effort into it. And I'll also be direct. If I'm able to do like get to $100,000, a majority of the people I'm gonna be getting money from would be investing or putting in the money because they believe in like me putting on events, because of the events I've put on in the past, not necessarily because of any single creator that's involved.
I recommend watching this video. It's like 24 minutes long.
No!
Shino also offered to just search for sponsors for the event, which is what he pitched to have Plotty re-sign until April 1st. It was also to give him time to catch up on videos he owed her. Plotty never heard back on any sponsors, which, if y'all don't know, searching for sponsors is like Shino's job as a manager anyways. So him pitching to do his job to have her resign is fucking wild.
Are you fucking dumb?
Shino also tried to use this unknown sponsor as a way to get her to resign, stating that he was negotiating around $67,000, which he would take 30% of and give Plotty 10% of, if I'm understanding correctly. Not to mention bro saying that if Plotty stops working with him, he'll just take the idea and replace her with someone else. Plotty spent way more time on the project. It's her idea, and she spent $2,000 of her own money on assets alone, and him trying to claim ownership when he is just a manager. I don't know, it's weird. It very much seemed like he knew there was a sense of hierarchy, as he would kind of say or insinuate that the show would only work due to him having connections Plotty doesn't have, and that the splits were fair because the fact that she would have the show on her channel is enough.
That is not correct.
Now, a little side note. Yeah, a talent and their friend was roofied at a party hosted by Flask and Blurp at TwitchCon of 2024, to which Shino laughed and called her stupid and a liar, and even talked about having her and her friends blacklisted from future Twitch parties and events, and working with niggas he has connections to. Now, we know that Shotty wasn't lying, because if y'all don't know, TwitchCon at 24 definitely had an issue with niggas being Bill Cosby'd. It's not cool, it's not some shit you should write off, but keep that situation in mind because we are going to go in more detail about it later. Shino would also run his mouth about people's private lives, usually of other talents or even previous talents, and I mean like daily life shit, talking about where one of the talents are moving to and where they're moving from, which now that I'm saying that out loud is just doxing. Talking about merch drops way before they are public, asking Plotty for context for products that she specializes in her day job, detailed information about another talent's pockets, and that he would punish her by seizing her accounts like Twitch, Patreon, etc., which would stop her from receiving her money until Shotty met up with him.
My nigga. Chill. Yeah.
Which is like, fucking, which is a crazy thing to say on some Dr. Doofenshmirtz shit. I felt gross just saying that shit out loud. Now, regarding previous talents, he would basically talk shit about them, telling the current talents that the previous talents weren't good people. There was one specific individual where Shino pulled Plotty, Guilty, and Bibli into an emergency call after a WeebCon in 2024. Shino basically told him, yo, this nigga is doing a smear campaign on me and Flask, allegedly accusing Shino of stealing, manipulating. He then proceeds to discuss their taxes, and then the person's mental and physical health, even how to get hold of their health insurance.
You're weird.
Why? And low-key proves the person making the accusations is probably correct. Shino then told the talents to not interact with that individual in any way, shape, or form. Common tactic. We keep seeing that shit. Remember his girlfriend Amelisa? Well, Amelisa was added to a group chat with the talents' business discords, but under a different account. And Shino just told the talents that she is an assistant. The talents had no clue at the time that the different account was Amelisa. They found out months later after asking Amelisa how she knew so much about their projects. And she was also actually copying the projects before they were public knowledge and before the talents could do their own ideas themselves. Scummy thing to do anyway, get your own shit, stop stealing. Shino also shafted Plotty out of sponsorships multiple times, which is a common theme we will see. One time he accidentally, quote unquote, told a one-shot representative that she was annoying. Bro says that he was using text-to-speech and didn't notice. Needless to say, Plotty hasn't heard from One Shot again. One time she asked him to reach out to Aura Culture for merch. Bro said sure. And even when he was asked about it, he said there was a meeting scheduled. It ended with Shino basically telling Plotty that she wasn't big enough for Aura Culture and just to drop the idea.
Damn.
Advanced GG and Gamersubs both reached out to Plotty, and Shino wouldn't allow her to respond, saying that he has something better in store. Basically putting Plotty in the cut chair over and over. Now into the shit Shino owes. Shino owes Plotty 54 edited clips, both horizontal and vertical versions of the clips. He originally owed 71 clips. The ones Plotty did receive is only the vertical versions, but Plotty at this point just wants the shit she paid for. In the doc, she tells us she paid an extra $500 each month for 4 full-length edited videos, like 10 to 12 minute videos, and 15 edited clips for 9 months in May of 2024. When she was due to resign up in February, she didn't want to pay that amount again because she was still owed 13 videos and 71 clips because there was months where nothing was getting worked on at all. Shino agreed to a 2-month contract to allow him to catch up and provide videos that were behind, but then removed the YouTube wording completely in the contract.
Wait a minute.
Plotty wasn't signing this shit until Shino added that wording back in. I want to make it clear really fast. Please read the doc or skim over it yourself as well and form your own opinion on the matter. I'm obviously not going over everything word for word, bar for bar, so read for yourself. I'm not a news channel, I just like talking about shit. Now, since Plotty left Flask at the end of her contract, Shino had been spreading rumors that Plotty stole from him, saying that Plotty is a crazy crash out, saying that he terminated her and that Plotty overworked him for shit he wasn't contracted for, which we know isn't true, considering the nigga owes her a lot of videos that she has paid for. He then removes Plotty from all the business group chats, and the ones he couldn't remove her from, he deleted every message he has ever sent, even the ones he sent to her personally, claiming that Plotty having access to those is stealing his IP/knowledge, despite the fact Plotty kinda paid for that. Yup, on to the next.
I should shove the whole thing in my mouth.
Guilty starts off by basically saying, hey, don't blame the artist or anyone who worked through Shino.
I'm like, what do you say fuck me for?
They were already under contract type shit and they just doing their job for real. She also explains that since Shino deleted a year's worth of screenshots, he only provided what she could gather. So
That'll be a written apology. See this. Oh.
And they're mad.
So she signed with Shino back in December of 2023, and it was smooth sailing for the most part. Giving good advice, helping with ideas and concepts. Shit was cool, especially with the added context of them being friends before this. Until, wasn't great anymore.
Yeah?
Bro basically does what we portrayed earlier by just being very inconsistent and not holding his end of the contract at all, ignoring Guilty's DMs despite contract saying she has open communication. He was inconsistent with meetings like we stated before, and always pushing it back or was late, to the point Guilty had to call his shawty to see if he was up, and sometimes not making it entirely and just making an excuse days later.
I'm Spider-Man.
Shino would also make it clear that he just didn't care if he missed a meeting, especially if another client was debuting or a convention was happening, and intentionally ignore some talents and then after the debut or convention make up an excuse about how busy he was. So basically, as we can see, this nigga is just inconsistent as fuck. He was inconsistent on providing clips for Guilty as well. He would constantly reassure Guilty by saying that he has an in-house editor, but was constantly training someone or hiring new people.
I'm tired of this, Grandpa. That's too damn bad.
And months will go by without a word. And then randomly he would drop like a loot box of clips. Some were good, others, not so much. He then had her add 2 editors for both YouTube and Twitch clips. And again, some of the clips were good, and some of them were,
Trash!
To the point, Guilty started scrubbing her VODs herself and went and found an editor herself that's able to like edit Dead by Daylight clips. Also, for those that don't know what scrubbing a VOD is basically watching a stream and clipping parts that are funny.
Oh, they want me to do math. Oh, okay. Well, the good news is this.
Man, what more do you want from me?
That's really all it is. When Guilty asked about why some of the clips just weren't good, bro would basically be like, well, you're boring.
Fuck you too then.
Which is just rude. But Guilty knows that she isn't everyone's cup of tea or that not enough clips are just being made, but she just went back and started scrubbing her own shit. But apparently Shino would say the exact same bullshit to other talents of his. Now, the TwitchCon incident. Guilty says that she was not there and had no plans on going to TwitchCon until after she debuted. But Shino's partner, Lisa, kept talking shit, with other people confirming that yeah, Shotty was talking shit, and Shino obviously downplays it. Why? Because that's his Shotty, that's his girl. And then Guilty also reiterates that Shino did indeed downplay the people that got roofied at Shino's event at TwitchCon, or Flask event at TwitchCon or whatever, saying that Orca mixed her drinks with new meds from her doctor, and that they just had high anxiety, and that they just drank a bit more than they thought. Shino even told Guilty that they were with them the whole time, which
Was a fucking lie.
according to other talents that did go to TwitchCon. Shino's partner Lisa also spread lies to others, claiming that Shino had to pull funds from her debut to pay for Guilty's, which Guilty says isn't the case at all, and that she actually paid majority of the debut's expenses. Guilty decided she would just step back from her ass after that and just focus on her own stuff. Shino would also play favorites and make excuses for Lisa's mistakes. Obviously, we could probably guess why. When she was working for him under Flask, she was tasked with writing Guilty's lore storyboard, and Guilty gave her what she needed, but it was just silence. For a whole month, and when she went to Shino about it, a common thing she did when she had concerns about anyone working under him, Shino turns it into a, well, yeah, what I gotta do with me, go talk to her. And that's when Guilty just decided she wants absolutely nothing to do with Lisa. Guilty even recounts that Lisa had complications working on Plotty's lore as well. If you remember, Plotty's lore didn't even get fucking finished. Shino then gets upset with Guilty the same way he got upset with Plotty for simply not reposting on Lisa's debut. And when Guilty explains that she just wanted to keep her distance and not say shit, he says that it's creating drama. He also throws around and tries to scare them by saying he can get people blacklisted and shit.
I will fucking laser you.
Guilty also attests that Shino would just take credit for projects that the girls came up with. Even if it was way before he was in the picture, he would just slap his name onto that bitch. He would also talk on behalf of Guilty by talking to the artist privately, despite Guilty, Shino, and the artist having a chat, to the point that some people felt uncomfortable working for Guilty. So because of Shino, this obviously put Guilty in a weird spot, and Shino would just blame the artist, even though it's just him being a dickhead. Shino would also demand her model's files, and was also just a dick towards Guilty's rigger. Guilty basically asked Shino to make a contract so Guilty's partner could sign it between them and the rigger, and instead of doing that, Shino just signed it himself and then demanded to get a copy of Guilty's fully rigged model as a backup, and then even intimidated them, which Guilty did not rock with at all, especially with what happened with Bibli. Also, a lot of artists and streamers assumed Shino was Guilty's husband, and Shino just didn't correct them.
Weird. The only thing I'm confused is to like why you were under the impression that I shouldn't have it to be able to check or test for things myself. Like that I have no experience with this, I've never checked or tested or anything, or that like it is
I never said you
crime
don't
or
have experience or anything like that. I'm just saying.
Okay,
like,
that's not the point then. I don't understand this mindset of like you don't want to give it to me. For what reason? I've been a part of the entire process up to this point. There hasn't been an issue like this the entire process up to this point. What is the issue now?
Nigga, cause it's her shit.
There was no issue. I wanted it done specifically my way, so I was.
That's
just
fine.
doing
I don't
it
have a
myself.
problem with the way you have it. That doesn't mean that I'm not going to check it or test it.
Chill.
That's still part of my job.
Lying.
I mean,
I don't understand your reason for not wanting me to do that.
okay, I was under the impression that a part of like your job was to just literally help manage and help keep me or like coordinated. It had nothing to do with the actual like. You need a copy of.
Are you
model.
telling? So what you're telling me is you don't want to send the model because you don't want me to have it, or you don't think I should have it? Then?
Oh, I just figured like it was just all mine. Like I was just going to figure out how I wanted it rigged. I wasn't looking for anybody's like other opinion on it, other than like me just trying to break it and seeing if this was the quality that I wanted. That was pretty much it. I didn't have any expectation of sharing it with anybody.
As you should. That nigga is nothing more than a manager. What do you benefit from him testing your shit? You're gonna be using your shit. He has no reason to test it. Only you should be able to test it. It's your shit.
I mean, like, I don't even
That is not how we.
the full base anymore.
I don't know what your mindset has been or how you've come to the conclusion. This is not how we worked up until this point. I'm not gonna continue working like this where I'm playing back and forth games, half this, half truth, half that. I'm not interested in it anymore. So. Here's what I'm going to do. For whatever reason, you seem to want to be split in terms of combative and not actually like work together, at least towards your own debut. I'm not going to play the Ranger
You have not tried to communicate with me about my debut or anything. You wanted to be petty because I didn't share all my
You wanted to be petty. No, you wanted to be petty. And you wanted to hide information from me.
That's not hiding information. Well, I just didn't want to be dealt with drama.
No, exactly. You hid information from me for the purpose of not involving drama, but then made it a bigger drama issue, made this much bigger than it probably should have been addressed when it happened, yes, but I asked multiple times to address the situation because I had no idea any of this was going on. You decided because whether you wanted to be drama or you wanted to be petty or whatever the case it was, all of you decided you guys wanted to handle it on your own and didn't handle it properly. So I'm not going to sit here and argue with you anymore about it. I'm not here to argue with anybody about it anymore. What I'm going to do is this, since you're changing up from the work experience we've had up until this point, I'm just going to send you a refund for the last 6 months. So from here to TwitchCon, since that's when this seems so started for you, it's about $1,900. You can keep the last 2 payments, and then I'm just going to send you a termination here saying, hey, we're going to stop here.
Guilty at this point just wanted to pay the nigga back for the amount he did put into the debut. And bro was like, nah, it's all good. Just to then switch up once he terminated the contract because Guilty didn't want to hand over the copy of her model. It shows how Guilty wanted to pay, but Shino kept withholding the invoice, and the termination of the contract was also very, very rocky according to the screenshots. Shino being very, very dodgy about giving ownership of the model to Guilty under a contract. Shino was low-key trying to give her a release contract where she has to pay for the art, she gets the rights but not commercial rights. Then she also pays Shino for the amount the artist charged him, but she doesn't get the rights that come with it.
Are you fucking dumb?
She doesn't sign that bullshit, and Shino is basically doing mental gymnastics like, well, we don't have full ownership because the artist keeps some of the rights to it. And Guilty's like, no shit, nigga, I want the rights that Flask own. He wants the rights that Flask own to be transferred to her, so she doesn't have the risk of being DMCA struck by them in the future. It's to cover her own ass, basically. Guilty is even cool with Shino adding that she must credit Flask, but Shino just doesn't believe her for some reason, even though she would be contractually obligated to do that. Although in hindsight, this nigga is projecting like crazy. Anyway, eventually Guilty gets her way, rightfully so, but goddamn, this nigga made it difficult. Now, 1 to 2 months before Guilty's debut, Shino would just ghost her, but only come around when he was asking for his payment. Since Guilty was just waiting on him to respond to her DMs or ask, and Shino did eventually send an invoice, he was a few days late on paying it, which then Shino booted her from important conversations with artists on stuff that involved her debut, which is the lore video we talked about prior. Guilty then says that her being a little late was the only way Shino would actually contact her, and questions how she can fix anything if her actively trying to reach out isn't working. Guilty explains this is Shino's way of punishing her for not paying right away, even though bro couldn't even pay a certain artist on time himself. Guilty also apologizes to Bibli for letting what Shino did to her slide, and she regrets not hearing her out. She overall says Shino's a doo-doo butter manager unless you're making him a fuck ton of money. He also talks down on all his clients and even shares their private work, lives, and details without their consent.
Yeah, so I will protect seals from others, but if you are bad, you're gonna be my snack. See this toast? That's blood on it.
Now, to clarify, the screenshot has Orca's name blurred because initially when the doc released, Orca wanted to be anonymous. But she changed her mind, so if the shit's blurred, it's Orca. Who knows, maybe I'll actually do my job as an editor and put Orca's name on it. I don't know. That might be too much fucking work though, who knows, this video's already long as shit. Now the dark starts off with Orca asking for a copy of her contract, to which Shino is dodging the question by asking questions like, did your tax person get back to you? What happened? And then says that Orca is being aggressive when she states that it's bothering her that she doesn't have a copy of the contract that she signed, which I think for anybody that has any logical thinking, it's completely normal and even recommended to have a copy of contracts. Some companies don't even have you ask, they just give you the copy off rip.
It comes with the service, nigga.
Now we get into more info about Orca's living situation. She lives with her parents, rent-free. Type shit. And she is having a serious talk with her parents and they want to see the contract she has signed, which is why Orca is asking Shino for the contract. Shino tried to call, but she couldn't answer since she is, you know, talking to her parents. Orca took Shino off her YouTube like her parents advised, which I would say is good advice. W mom and dad. The reason being that since she didn't have a copy of the contract that she signed, Shino shouldn't have access to her shit.
It's not ridiculous. That's not ridiculous to say that.
Orca's parents aren't comfy with it, and of course, since Orca lives in their house, whatever they say goes, and her parents wanted a breakdown of how content creation and being a VTuber works as a full-time job. He then asked Shino, gang, can you send me the contract? Shino then suggests to talk to her parents, which is like, nigga, no, just give me my shit. Eventually, he says that it should be in her email and says that there is more to this than he is being told and that he isn't going to talk into anger without understanding as to why, which isn't the case at all if you read the screenshots. Orca is just having a serious talk with the moms and dad, and she simply needed the contract she already signed. She wasn't angry, she just needed the contract. Shino then backtracks on sending it by saying that he needs to know who he's actually talking to since the contract has her personal information on it as well as his. But Shotty's literally telling you it's her parents. Plus, she should have a copy of the shit she signed anyway.
You don't have to ask for that.
He says no offense, but since he can't prove who he is on the other line with, he's not going to send anything. And then suggests to be put on speakerphone, which seemingly did happen. And I'm guessing she did end up getting the contract at the end. All this shit for a piece of paper that she already signed that she should have already had a copy of in the first place. Now, Orca was told that Shino just be spreading bullshit and claimed that he got Bibli and Imyuki blacklisted since they spoke out about the incident that happened to them at the party.
Don't never go to the gas station, bro.
Shino/Flask hosted, which I think they are referring to TwitchCon's Blurp VIP party that happened back in September of 2024. Now, Blurp was the main host while Flask was like the co-host of it, but they noticed that the VIP party started having way more niggas coming in than what was on the list. One of Mimiki's friends' water started to taste a bit funny.
Why is it spicy?
And she felt off, which is probably the signs of a low-grade roofie. So she waited for her Uber and notified a security guard. She was picked up shortly after. Then boom, Imuki didn't feel good at all. And it was like really, really bad. To be honest, it was really bad. Imuki notified the bartenders, and that's when they said, "Oh, we got drink covers that they just weren't handing out." A quick PSA. I'm not a drinker, and I'm not even old enough to go into a bar or a VIP party, and I'm never going to partake in drinking even when I'm of age, but please use a drink cover. More so if you're a woman, which is fucking gross that I got to say that. But statistically, women are more at risk. And I even advise that if you're a man, please do the same, as men's drinks getting spiked is rising, but it's also just underreported due to how society kind of handles that kind of issue when it comes to men. Either way, cover your drinks, please. Imuki's body just starts shutting down. They feel heavy, can't read well. Eventually their friends had to carry them as they became limp and started hyperventilating, only able to move their mouth to mumble and their eyelids. This happened at a VIP party with other bigger creators attending. It's not a joke. This is something Shino allegedly blacklisted Imuki and Bibli for. There's no screenshots due to it being word of mouth. I lied. In Guilty's doc, she has a screenshot where it literally says that Shino is going to ignore this chick and blacklist her going forward. Worst off, not the right pronouns. There is a screenshot. There is screenshot proof of this. But he would brag about getting other people blacklisted whenever an issue arose. It would always be the talent's fault and not his. When Orca's contract ended, Orca informed Shino that due to the wording of the contract that Shino made in ChatGPT, by the way, he clearly didn't proofread.
Dickhead. Yo, niggas really be dumb as shit.
Because Orca went to a lawyer and found out, I actually don't owe you shit. Since she already paid 3 bans and said if bro did his job in February, he would be more inclined to do what bro is asking. And since he didn't do his job, by law, she doesn't have to give 500 doubloons. She gives thanks to everything Shino has done, but now that the contract is over, no more dinero in your pocket. But they still offered to pay the 500, which actually should have been 400, as they were kind enough to not completely screw the nigga over. But Shino denied it, and also just says that he wouldn't be open to re-signing her in the future.
A win is a win.
And they seem to have a clean break, until he crashes out saying that Orca stole from him, and brings up that him getting removed off of Orca's channel before he gave the contract makes sense now.
I understand it now.
Orca feels as though that if she never removed him off her YouTube, he probably would have done what he was doing with Bibli and held her shit hostage, or just deleted it. He then spams Orca about how the contract never said he owed her clips and that he decided to do them anyway as a surprise, and some of the clips were being made by someone Orca thought would be too expensive named Kita, and C-Shag, who also scrubbed VODs for clips, and saying that he went out of his way to do something nice and not even in the contract because he just wanted her to do well. And he even went and paid someone to go clip her VODs because she talked about how people don't clip. Shino started to delete everything. He deletes a notebook server he made for his talents as a private Discord, which had ideas and refs for streams, which had information that has been building for a year. He deleted important documents he made for the talent that he shared with them on Google Docs. Luckily, Orca copied everything, so she didn't lose much there. Shino even goes and like subtweets about it on Twitter, even though Orca literally didn't steal from him, he just denied getting paid. Even so, she legally didn't have to pay him in the first place. And just to add, a sponsor reached out to Shino to get into contact and work with Orca. And Shino just, didn't respond or tell Orca about it at all, which is a reoccurring theme, obviously. It also reminds me of a certain someone. The parallels are kind of crazy.
Trying to circumcise the bottle pee-pee. I mean, what?
Okay. In 2023, Nee was actively seeking for management after having 3 previous dog shit experiences.
I hate you all.
Is that a fucking whistle? This was a main contributing factor that made Nee want to quit VTubing, but she opted to just do VTubing part-time. Now, Nee's friend is the person that told her about Shino, and due to Nee having a good resume, Shino seemed very enthusiastic about managing her, and interested about bringing her onto Flash, to which they did by early summer. The plan was to do a 3-month trial contract just to test the waters before committing to a year-long contract, which is something they also did for Plotty, if your brain can remember that far back. During this period, Nee would be getting several free services. That shit was in quotes, that's why I said it like that. Shino agreed to make a detailed plan for Nee's growth as a content creator. Now, Nee wasn't technically onboarded onto Flask yet. Shawty was on the pre-onboarding stage, but she was very much so treated like an official talent. Introduced her to staff members like the lead mod / assistant Jay. Remember this nigga name, he important. An executive talent manager, Shino's coordinator, which was just his girlfriend, but Nee didn't know that at the time, and the talent coordinator. Shino even got Nee an accountant to help with taxes, like he did with the official members of Flask. He and Shino also seemed to be close friendship-wise. He kept in touch while she was at her first convention in LA. He spoke with her mother. He opened up about personal things because Shino wanted to know, and felt that as his role as a manager, he should support her through life and give emotional support. And Nee saw Bro as a mentor and a friend at this point, so I can understand why Nee thought she was basically an official member, or at least a shoo-in at this point. Hell, I would even think that. But on the other hand, Bro did say there was like a 3-month trial and this could have just been a part of it, but I don't know. Now, remember when I said Nee just had a shitty experience with managers in the past, which led to her almost quitting? Well, she told Shino about this and said that she wouldn't commit to someone unless they had time for her. And Shino assured her that he wouldn't do that.
Foreshadowing as a narrative device.
Nee feels that Shino had good intentions at first, but it seemed like he bit off more than he could chew, which ended up affecting Nee a lot. When it came to the trial contract, it kept being pushed back, but Nee felt that she really needed the help, especially with her personal trauma that happened summer and fall. Shino apparently also suffered a loss at the start of Nee's onboarding process, which she empathized with and gave him space and tried to support him as much as she can, but didn't feel like she was getting the same support emotionally during her onboarding process. Which we're going to get into now, since I know this bit sounds a bit like contradictory to what we just said about them being friends or whatever, but we'll see. After about 2 months into her onboarding process, Shino told Nee that she was going to get a temporary manager, while Shino goes and takes care of other things. Now, the temp manager is Shino's executive talent manager. At first, when Nee was trying to get into contact with this person through Shino, she will be met with answers that dodge the question at hand. That's when Jay, told you to remember his name, hit up Nee just to check in, and Nee told him about the temporary manager, which kind of perplexed him because he wasn't informed of this arrangement at all, and Shino usually tells him everything. Jay then goes to the temp manager and asks, "Yo, do you know about this?" And guess what? It turns out they didn't even know Nee existed. Which would be kind of important for the person that is temporarily managing you to know that you exist. Jay, being concerned, quickly put Nee in a group chat with this temp manager so Nee can actually meet them. Nee then states that this group chat turned into a little support group chat for her so Jay and the temp manager could check up on her. Now, after this, Shino caught wind that Nee knew that the temp manager didn't know about it. And that's when he made a group chat with him, the temporary manager, and Shino's assistant / girlfriend, Amelisa.
Like that, like,
to have a meeting. But Nee hasn't been invited to this group chat yet, which makes zero sense, but we'll get to it. Another week goes by. Nee is wondering, yo, what the fuck is going on? Shino tells Nee that they're going to do Bibli Darling's meeting first, who was onboarding at this time. This was back when Bibli was just getting onto Flash, so, you know. Shino told Nee that the meeting was starting. 3 to 4-ish hours later, Nee is like, are y'all still in the meeting? No response. 1 to 2-ish hours later, Nee is like, yo, I don't think I can be up much longer. 20-ish minutes later, Shino's like, I'll ping you. 3 hours later, keep in mind, the meeting with Bibli started around 5:30 p.m. It's now 3:40 a.m. It's dead-ass eat time. It's demon timing right now. Nee, being understandably angry, is like, yo, I cleared my whole day for this shit and stayed up until I passed out. She didn't say it like that, I'm paraphrasing. Shino doesn't respond. Nee sends another message at 9:29, and then Shino responds saying he needs time to set everything up. He's like, okay, cool, but do you understand my frustration? And that she just wished it was communicated to her that she wasn't doing the meeting that day. Shino then says, I understand, but I just don't have enough hours in the day right now. Basically, this nigga is saying, I don't have time for you.
Fuck you too then.
And then says the only way I can fix that is just to clear out everything that is mandatory in my backlog first before booking any more meetings. Then nigga, why didn't you tell Nee that the day of, like way earlier, so you didn't waste her time? Shino doesn't really contact Nee at all. Nee hits up Shino on September 11th about something unrelated. I could make a crazy joke right now, but I'm not going to. Nee reaches out on the 19th of September about meeting their temporary manager, they already technically met, and the onboarding process. Shino then replies with a drama video about another talent and said that a lot of things have been happening. Shino basically told Nee to do what she can and just gives a checklist, I guess, of things they need for her re-debut that she put on pause, by the way, to work with Flask. This checklist is also something Nee already knows about, and not even what Nee asked for in the first place. She just wants to get the meeting done. At this point, Nee is kind of snapping. Shino sends her some clips that were poorly edited, but in her text going off on Shino, she basically is voicing her frustrations with how Shino is basically putting her on a crazy back burner, and that she has indeed been working on her re-debut a lot. She doesn't really appreciate being treated as if she hasn't worked as a VTuber / content creator for 3+ years, and that this is her job. Says that she needs to know if there's going to be a time or focus on her next month, since she changed her plans for her re-debut since joining Flask, and since Flask isn't doing shit for her, nothing is moving. Shino responds by saying that he gets it, and that they may need to come up with some ideas to take the burden off of Nee. Basically, he bullshits Nee for like the whole time. That's the TLDR really, but I must go over it in more detail, so fuck me. He says that her refocusing on IRL stuff as well as VTubing, her numbers are going to take a hit, which actually wasn't the case at all. He then says he needs more info on Nee's current situation to make a plan, and then he also says he has a project he is working on under an NDA, but that it would help him and a few other people, Nee included.
Bullshit.
Shino then basically responds to each statement. He says that he can't give a definitive answer on anything since things keep changing on his end, and since he's exiting one of his clients, he would have more time soon, and that Shino basically had to handle himself or learn on the fly. The nigga is saying he's busy. That's basically what he's saying. He then talks about how Nee is in a space where a reinvention is needed. In some ways, is like being pre-debut, which not really, because Nee has literally said re-debut, and from my understanding, has been doing IRL and VTubing streams at the same time. Shino takes responsibility for the poor clips and said it was just drafts, and then goes into detail about her streams, and in my opinion is just giving reasons as to why clips were bad.
See what had happened at first was
Like saying ASMR doesn't always clip well in general. Saying that her chatting streams are good but aren't generally super themed.
Oh my god, I don't fucking.
And then says that he can't give her any dates with other things going on, and even offered to cancel the agreement so far since nothing was officially signed. He is more upset because when Nee would follow up on dates that Shino did give her, bro just wouldn't show up. Instead of just simply telling her beforehand, Nee felt that him saying that it's fine if she wants to cancel the agreement is more so dismissive and cold due to what I would call the neglect that she's enduring. And I call it neglect because I personally think if Shino was just like, yo, a bunch of things are happening, we're going to have to push back your meeting. If he would have said that shit off rip, then Nee probably wouldn't have complained. Or I don't know, just have the temp manager consult her while he handled other things. Then shit probably would have been fine. Nee more so saw this as Shino trying to dodge accountability. Nee at this point already dedicated several months into trying to work with Flask, and it seemed like Shino didn't really want to work with her for real anymore. And to avoid like liability of starting an onboarding process and basically terminating it, especially with Nee's involvement with staff like Jay and the temporary manager, it seems like it was an attempt to compel Nee to leave on her own accord. Now, is it possible bro was actually dealing with a lot of stuff and it wasn't completely dodging blame and him just simply stating what was happening? Maybe, there's probably a chance. However, it doesn't excuse the fact that he didn't really acknowledge or even own up to him missing the meeting, or apologizing for not telling the temp manager better off rip, or even just inform Nee off rip that his schedule got really busy. Nee then responds to Shino point for point, basically reiterating that she feels like she's just being shafted. Nee then also seems understanding to a lot of the things happening behind the scenes, and stated that her and Jay were just concerned at the radio silence, which made Nee think her onboarding process was just at the wrong time, or that Shino regretted putting Nee on board due to Nee apparently hearing that Bibli got in right after her meeting. Basically, Nee is just upset at the lack of transparency, and also assured that she has been planning for her re-debut on her own in the meantime. Nee gives the added context that Shino was adamant about not starting anything without him and said that they need to do everything together. Nee couldn't even send her concept OC document to a concept artist until he looked it over and gave feedback. Shino also assumed that Nee would just do certain tasks when he wasn't specific about them, and then get annoyed when Nee didn't do the task he wasn't specific about, and then when Nee did go above and beyond and try to move things forward, he would still get upset and say that she was rushing even though they were months delayed at this point. Nee also highlights that due to her autism, she has like very specific needs, and she shared this with Shino about how her last manager mistreated them because of her autism. But Shino just ends up bringing up his girlfriend's autism, which not only shifted focus from Nee's concerns, but also she later learned shortly before writing this doc that Shino's girlfriend, Amelisa, isn't even diagnosed. Now 2 more months pass. Jay at this point is concerned. Jay, for those that don't remember, is the lead moderator and assistant that has been checking in on Nee often in the group chat that included the temporary manager. Nee was just honest and was like, yo, I haven't heard from Shino at all, and stated that it was taking a toll on her mentally and that she might just give up on it if the onboarding process doesn't start before 2024. Jay at this point was like, I'm gonna just go talk to this nigga Shino, and he's basically like, bro, you gotta tell Nee something. We have to schedule a meeting because I fill out the loop, and Nee is basically unguided at this point, which Shino, in my opinion, swerved the hell out of. Like, Shino would just straight leave Jay undelivered, and Jay would have to at him with arrows pointing to his previous message. Shino then says he's waiting for Nee to get back from her vacation that she obviously didn't tell Jay and the temp manager about, since their follow-up wasn't meant to be after, which Jay calls out by saying that first part is false, and that Jay, and I would even assume the temp manager, did know about the vacation, and despite that, JS kept 100% constant contact with her the whole time. Shino then says that him and Nee spoke before TwitchCon, and he spoke to her during her we got finished.
What the f does that mean, Kobe Bryant?
I go, what? Y'all tell me in the comments what he means. Shino then says he told her he would be busy until after, and Minnie got sick at TwitchCon. He then says that the model artist that Nee wanted hasn't responded yet, and that he did get someone recently, but it's someone he met at TwitchCon who did a few VTuber models. Shino then starts getting annoyed, saying that he will be changing how they handle Nee moving forward because this has crossed the line for him. And Jay was like, did I do something? And Shino said Nee did something.
What do you say fuck me for? What did I do?
Now, the angle that Nee thinks Shino took is that Nee is gaslighting people, and that she was venting to other staffs, and that Nee sent Jay to talk to him, and that Nee was rushing him. Jay, however, debunks all of it. He too was concerned at the lack of communication, which is why he made the decision to keep in touch and made the group chat that included the temporary manager. Jay went to Shino on his own accord in regards to Nee's situation, and that Jay did indeed ask Nee how she was doing and opened that line of communication himself. Now, let's go into what Shino says to Nee.
At this point, just kill me.
Shino states that her venting to the temp manager and Jay makes him overreact when reaching out to him. But more importantly, it's clear that he just doesn't have the time that she needs.
Wait a minute.
Well, she told Shino about this and said that she wouldn't commit to someone unless they had time for her. And Shino assured her that he wouldn't do that.
Foreshadowing as a narrative device.
Yeah, I would've. Nee has expressed multiple times since the beginning that she wanted a manager that has time for her. That was the main concern, and he even reassured her, if you remember. And then you go around and say that you don't have the time. Shino has terrible spelling, by the way, but he goes on to say that there's like 5 fires going on every day, and he puts them out in the order of importance and time constraint, which is like, okay. He then says that he won't have anyone rushing other people to rush him, so I think he's insinuating that Nee rushed Jay to basically get Jay to rush him. And when he has an update, she will get it. He then basically lectures Nee on how to be patient by sending her YouTube reels. Nee has been patient for months now. If you look at the date, it's November of 2023. They started talking in June of 2023. Nee voices that they have been beyond patient with setbacks, no communication, and several other things. He then explains to Shino that Jay created the group chat with the temp manager himself and was checking on her constantly, and Shino says that he thinks Nee is overthinking or oversharing with others, and it's not coming clear, and they interpret it as her freaking out, and then was like, I'll give you steps for this month after this meeting. Shino ends the agreement. He says that he hates doing this, capping, and that he wished there was more he could do, niggas capping. and she has a sleep where you are right now. Huh? This nigga needs Grammarly or something. What the fuck is this? Now he offers to be a consultant, which is like just giving advice, which is sort of what he was doing very minimally anyway. And he was a bit wary of this and asked for some clarification. He even said that he would assist with some documents. Me at this point was fed up with it all and just didn't ping Shino anymore, and Shino didn't message her at all. In fact, Nee did remember she had docs made for her already, but unlike Orca, she didn't save them, unfortunately. So she asked Shino for them, and she said sure, and then ghosted her. She was able to find some of her re-debut documents, but according to the screenshots, she seemingly didn't save the Patreon document. And just to add more context, Nee and Shino was still friends with each other on Discord up until April 8th of 2025. So years went by with Shino not saying a word to Nee, and Nee says that the free services he promised were never completed, some not even started. She really only got an edited 10-second video clip, spooky music, an overlay, and some artist recommendations on VGen and Twitter. So, I'm not gonna lie, I'm recording this part after editing the 55 minutes prior to the section. This video is by far the longest video I've done. It's pretty tough, it's not gonna lie. And this section is the longest section since this portion has like mini sections within it. If you're still watching up until this point, I appreciate you a ton. Even if I'm just used as like, you know, background noise, because I know a lot of people, you know, they be working, they be like drawing, you probably doing homework or something. No, it's the summer, you're not doing homework. Anyway, let's get on with it. Bibli is the person that has her account held hostage by Shino due to her not feeling comfortable signing the new contract. Now, Shino had access to basically all her accounts because Shino helped her set it all up, but she still has complete ownership of it because that's what was stated in the contract that she did sign. Since this is Bibli's first manager, she thought the manager having access to all the accounts like TikTok, YouTube, and email was the norm. Like all the other talents, everything was cool in the beginning. Bro posted clips to her channels, answered emails, actually doing his J.O.B. But when Bibli didn't want to sign the new contract, Jit started bugging on some like taken shit, but like bro isn't Liam Neeson. He was the one that, you know what, never mind. Bro locked her out of her accounts, despite her having complete ownership of them, then threatened her, deleted her presence, and then spread rumors about her to the other girls. Now, at the time, she didn't say anything due to him spreading rumors and Shino making her think that her perspective wouldn't be significant enough since he has connections to higher people. Bibli knows that this nigga is probably capping out of his ass. Bitch ass nigga. And she even proved that she is better off without him due to her achieving her sponsor with Advanced GG, going to conventions and teaching people about VTubing, commissioned a 3D world and model. Basically, she is going in a better direction than she did when she was with Shino. Now, Bibli did submit a cease and desist on December 12th, 2024. Now, obviously, I'm just a nigga. I'm not a lawyer, bro. Go watch Legal Eagle or something for that shit. But I'm going to do my best to explain this shit to you, alright? This is a letter that outlines that Shino has unlawfully asserted control over intellectual property and assets that rightfully belong to Bibli. There is tortious There's I really switched that up. Hopefully I cut that out.
There's no way out of this.
There's tortious interference with economic relations. By my understanding, this means that Shino taking control over business accounts directly disrupt her ability to generate money, maintain relationships with sponsors, and her audience. There is defamation due to Shino making false statements to other clients and people that stream that are straight up malarkey, which made others uncomfortable with Bibli, leading to Bibli's exclusion from professional networks and negative commentary on public platforms, which causes reputational damage. There is a clear breach of contract. Blast Media required that they do things like content production, advisory, and support, but despite making payments in September of 2024, they failed to fulfill these obligations, including creating and uploading content and supporting sponsorship opportunities. Damn, I feel like Legal Eagle right now, to be honest, fuck. There is intentional neglect and misrepresentation due to Shino making repeated assurances regarding the provision of service despite failing to deliver, and falsely implied that the business and platforms created for were under his ownership and control, and that these misrepresentations made intentionally or negligently misled and caused her to sustain significant harm financially and professionally, unjust enrichment, where they retained payments without providing the services outlined in the agreement. There is a breach of the covenant of good faith and fair dealing. The agreement obligated both parties to act in good faith and deal fairly with each other. But Shino's actions of withholding accounts, not doing contractual obligations, engaging in hostile and defamatory behavior, breached this covenant and inflicted unnecessary harm to Bibli. In order for things to be smoothed over without resorting to litigation, Bibli demands access to all her accounts that is associated with her business, immediately cease and desist from making defamatory statements about Bibli to third parties, aka keep her name out your mouth. 3. Give Bibli a refund for September of 2024. 4. Refrain from any actions that interfere with Bibli's business operations or relations. They have 5 days to comply. If not,
I'll see you in court.
They gonna put belt to ass. Now, Bibli also shows the contract that she didn't sign, as well as the old contract that she did sign at first. The old contract that she did sign clearly states that she does have full ownership of her shit, but the newer contract doesn't. Again, I'm not smart with legal stuff, so please look over both of the contracts yourself, but that's kind of the most important bit, considering that the nigga has her shit in his basement. That was just the summary though. Let's get into specifics. So, torturous interference. Bibli kind of cut to the chase and just shows screenshots from the end of the relationship that showcase Shino holding her accounts hostage, accusing her of withholding finances, and just, you know, pushes conduct. In the first screenshot, Bibli clearly shows where in the contract she signed that states that she has full ownership of her accounts, and Shino combats this with, if you want access, pay me.
Is this nigga serious?
Bibli is basically like,
No!
why would I have to pay you if we aren't in contract anymore? Bibli says that since Shino didn't do anything, what is Bibli really paying for? Shino says that Bibli used his designer, that they met for meetings, and since it wasn't paid for, he can DMCA all the work the designer did. Bibli's like, okay, that's fine. They also call each other petty. It's deadass just them arguing in these screenshots basically. Shino says that he has tried contacting her for weeks, which Bibli retorted by saying, you signed me out of my account and kicked me out of the server first. Shino then says that Bibli has been ducking him and blamed Bibli for talking behind his back. Bibli is like, I only talked to Plotty and has screenshots to prove this. Shino is like, you said you didn't want to work together. That doesn't mean you could just steal her shit though, my nigga. Shino then accuses her for lying about being in debt, saying that he knows she has the money to pay him and that he found some of the missing money already, allegedly, stating that he's trying to help her.
Lying.
Shino then says that she should have been using her business PayPal, and Bibli said she has tried and it canceled and went through to her personal PayPal, which is why she initially asked for his help. And then Shino states that he has everything set up to go to her business account. And can we please give this nigga some Grammarly? Like, damn, put it down as a tax write-off or something, bro. Shino then states that he spent 40 bands on her, and Bibli's like, alright, let's talk like adults then. Shino then talks about all the hours and work he put into her, and Shino's like, you lied to me and trying to hide money from me. And Bibli's like, dude,
I have $19.12 in my checking account.
I'm literally in crazy debt right now. And she is, there is proof showing that she is in the red. Bibli at this point is like, yo, can you just give me my YouTube channel back before it becomes an actual problem? Shino's like, are you threatening me? And Bibli's like, you've already threatened me with a lawyer already. Shino then says, I said, do you need to ask them for a legal request for an audit? You can't even spell a 5-letter word right. Since you don't want to show me the PayPal, I said we can get in call and just review it, but you don't feel comfy showing it. You buying strippers or drugs with PayPal or something?
What did he say?
Bibli was just like, no, it's just my personal PayPal. Bibli right now is simply focused on just getting her YouTube channel back. And Shino keeps pressing the issue about the PayPal thing, which seems to be an entirely different situation. And when Bibli asks for her channel again, Shino keeps asking for money that we already discussed earlier that Bibli doesn't owe him due to him not providing any service, and with them not even being under a contract. Shino then, I guess, quotes something that basically says that if you still act as if a contract is in effect, there's something called the automatic renewal doctrine. Now, I did some research, and when I mean by research, I just Googled it, let's be real. But the automatic renewal doctrine is basically a set of laws. And here's where I give you a misunderstanding of the meaning. Let me not do that though. I'm gonna correct myself before I even say the dumb shit. Basically, the automatic renewal doctrine, aka automatic renewal provision, refers to like a clause in a contract that automatically extends the contract's term for a specific period, unless one party says, yo, I don't want that shit no more. However, there's another law to like protect people from being charged for shit they don't want, where they have to be, where the person that gives this contract has to be very transparent that it would automatically renew. I looked in their contracts. There's nothing in there that says that, which I think I'll say after this pause. But, you know, I just wanted to clear that up before I said the dumb shit. I don't know how that would apply to her contract, especially when there was a end date to the contract. It was only for, you know, a set amount of time. And I even read over the contract she signed. There's nothing in the contract that even says anything about this. It's not like paying for Netflix or something, but I don't know. Y'all tap me in the comments. Maybe I'm stupid. Shino then claims that Bibli still used their contractors, showed up to meetings, and posted their clips. Bibli didn't post any clips, and Bibli wasn't notified when the contract was done. Shino then says that they were working as if the contract was still in effect, and in talks about a new contract, and that Bibli didn't ask for a pause in service, which I don't think it works that way for a job like this. So basically what Shino is trying to say is, yes, the contract ended, and I knew about it. But instead of notifying you and saying, hey, you need to leave, you instead let her keep using the service? That sounds like an LOU gang, that's tough. Bibli then argues that she is cool with paying for the thumbnails and Shino's time, but not the clips since she didn't get any during the contract period. And Shino then doesn't take this offer. And Bibli's like, okay, then wipe my account so I can use my brand name. Shino says, you aren't in a command position here. Bibli should be in the command position since she was paying Shino, not the other way around. Bibli asked to wipe the account again. Shino goes, are you sure? Bibli's like, it sucks, but I'm sure. And Shino asks to call, which Bibli declines. They then circle back onto the PayPal thing, and that's where Bibli's like, yo, dude, this is about my YouTube channel. Shino keeps pressing on about the PayPal shit, and Bibli's like, I can send you the initial email. Shino then questions why Bibli isn't cooperative, and Bibli simply states that her priority right now is getting her YouTube channel back. Bibli just asks for her channel again. Shino says, when I'm paid, sure. Bibli says, okay. Shino's like, cool, want me to send the invoice? And Bibli hit this nigga with a psych. Bibli says that it'd be nice to have her YouTube channel back since he didn't do anything but thumbnails for her while off contract. However, she's willing to pay for the thumbnails and his time. He then tries to argue this by basically breaking down the work he did. Things like, so I didn't meet with the Clippers and train them this month? Yes or no? Newsflash, simply meeting up with Clippers and training them but not giving Bibli any clips doesn't mean that Bibli would have to pay you the price for clips. That doesn't make any sense. Hence why she said, your time, dumbass. He says Bibli can't afford his full rate of time. Bibli again just reiterates that she's willing to pay for his time and the thumbnails. Shino continues to argue, but for shit that she's clearly stating she will pay for. He also apparently avoided sponsors with Bibli as well, and Bibli had to do it herself. Shino says that he only avoided fake sponsors, even though Aura Culture and Advanced GG both reached out and it went nowhere because Shino didn't say anything. Bibli then says if she wasn't in contract, it's tort.
What the fuck is that supposed to mean?
Is the civil wrong that causes harm or loss to a person or their property or results in legal liability for the person who committed the act. Since Bibli effectively has her account held hostage, and Shino then says you can't tell him he wasn't working because he was, and Bibli's like, alright then, where's my clips? Shino then says it's tort.
You just learned that word when we did.
This nigga just learned this word today. Shit, I did too, but I don't think he used the word tort properly. I don't think that nigga used it right at all. Bibli is like, alright, looks like a legal matter then. And as we know, Bibli wasn't joking.
Sim! What? Sim! What? Sim! What?
In communication, Bibli was expected to basically yap her ass off while Shino just doesn't respond or give input into anything, doing God knows what else, but then get irritated if Bibli did things without him knowing, especially if it involved sponsors. Shino was also hiring two of Bibli's mods, one to be a clipper and the other paid as a mod. But he didn't pay the clipper until months later, and he didn't pay the mod at all.
I beg your pardon?
While also owing Bibli's community members prizes he said he was going to pay for. Bibli shows us multiple screenshots of her messaging Shino trying to reach this nigga, and Shino just doesn't respond in a timely manner, some of which takes him days to respond, and Bibli is talking about plans and even telling Shino what she is going to do regarding music. Gang, you're not Beyonce. Get off in D&D or stop ignoring niggas. Shawty is definitely communicating, but bro just isn't locked in at all. Now, she brings up Advanced GG a lot because she likes the product, and she expressed wanting to work with them and get more of their product. Shino just ignored and beat around the bush, according to Bibli. Shino says that he has been talking to them and chatted with them before. Bibli then shows more screenshots, asking Shino if he had the chance to read the DM with Bep, asking for his opinion. The next morning, she asks for his opinion again since the nigga's off doing a side quest or something. And she says she is going to promote it the way she wants and voices that she is still interested in Advanced GG and doubles back on her request for another drink order that she asked for like 3 weeks ago. And even says that she's just going to hit up Advanced next week because she wants to partner with them. Shino tells Bibli no about ordering more Advanced and then says that if Advanced wants you to promote their product, they should be paying her $100 a month. Bibli was like, damn. Would have been cool to know that shit sooner, but still says that it is a product that she actually likes and a product she wants to promote. Shino goes, well, I'm saying it now, sassy ass nigga, and then says that her just liking it and them offering her 10 cents on the dollar isn't a good deal. Then starts using a fucking Red Bull analogy that I don't care enough to read, to be honest. Bibli's like, maybe, I don't know, ask them for a different offer, forehead. Shino then writes up a draft on what he should send to Advance concerning the deal that Bibli approves. Bibli showed interest in joining Culture affiliate program, to which Shino is wanting to turn down. He then shows a screenshot conversation between him and Culture. It's very small to see, but it's basically him listing off his clients to show that he is already like trying to set something up. That's not the shit affiliate deal. It's like, damn, nigga. Fuck you. Bibli said, oh, I see. I'm sure they know that then when accepting me. And then Shino tells Bibli, I want to be clear, unless it's on terms that make sense for each of you as you are, and not some generic deal, my answer is going to be a no. Still can't spell, by the way. I have no interest in having you guys push for other people's merch, just for a chance at your own merch and to do an unpaid meet and greet at their booth where they can push more of their product. And personally, kinda need you to stop signing up for these things and telling me after the fact. To which Bibli apologizes, but Bibli decided to investigate herself and contacted Culture and asked about the conversation between them and Shino. And they said, can you be more specific? Bibli's like, I think it's for merch. That's when Culture was like, Shawty, we didn't discuss anything about merch. Bibli says that Shino then continued to work, quote unquote, with Bibli for 2.5 months after the contract ended without Bibli knowing that the contract ended, and then demanded Bibli to pay for the 2 months, where he did not provide clip services or meetings. The contract ended on the 31st of August 2024, and Shino brings up a contract update on the 8th of November. I'm guessing like a renewal or a resign, I don't know. Now, Shino, as we said before, hired one of Bibli's mods as a clipper and did not pay him for his work until months later.
Nothing like saltwater soup.
He was also supposed to pay out the winners of a tournament that Bibli hosted and didn't pay them in a timely manner or at all.
Nothing like saltwater soup.
At first, he made excuses saying that he will pay them soon and that the pilot program, which is the program that the clipper was in, isn't going to be moving forward. This was asked on May 12th, 2024. Fast forward to May 30th, 2024. The clipper still hasn't been paid and asked Shino again about it, to which Shino was like, he'll be paid shortly. And then 14 days later, Shino asks for his PayPal, but still doesn't pay him. 9 days later, the clipper asks, yo, where's my bread? And expresses his concerns on the payments being pushed back this long. Shino then tells him that the work the clipper did was basically trash and late. And this will be not only his first check, but the last check as well. Shino does end up giving the nigga his bread. He did the same thing with another mod of Bibli's, but never paid him, but did send him an NDA and still used him for work.
Y'all
fucking weird. There is also various screenshots of Shino like asking for access into Bibli's accounts, to which Bibli actually complied. He got into her Twitch, Fansly, and Twitter. And you're probably wondering, why would she just give away her shit? Well, for her, it seemed to be the norm due to Shino helping her set up other accounts. And in the contract, it stated that she owns it anyway. So shit, doesn't seem wrong to her. At the end of this portion, she states how it's weird that a part of bro's job is to get sponsorship opportunities, yet the nigga kind of cucks you from sponsors. He currently still owes $118 for Bibli's Donathon and $100 Lethal Company tournament prize money. As we discussed in the summary, Shino tried accusing Bibli of hiding money, and even trying to get Bibli's personal PayPal account since he already has the business PayPal account. In the screenshots, it shows Bibli being $1,400 in debt due to her paying off a commission that Bibli asked Shino to help with. Now, it's the same commission that she asked for help for that I showed previously. It's the same shit. Shino says some won't hit until Wednesday and the 15th, and Bibli's like, I'm just trying to pay off this debt. Shino is then like, you also said you had to pay off the V-Singer thing as well, and Shotty's like, yeah, nigga, that's the commission I'm talking about. She ain't say it like that, but you get what I mean. Shino says that he can grab that for now, but you hadn't linked them yet, and that he thought Bibli was going to make a group chat. Bibli states that it was all done on VGen, and it was an instant pay for the commission, and she couldn't wait on it. Fast forward a few weeks later, Shino is asking about getting paid off. Bibli a day later says that she will do her best, but she had to buy a plane ticket and she is still in debt.
I'm about to bomb this whole motherfucking plane.
By $1,060 or so.
Do you need some money?
A few days later, Shino checks in asking what's up since they haven't talked since Bibli had a family emergency, which is why she had to buy a plane ticket. Bibli fills him in, saying that her brother's grandpa is in the hospital and they aren't sure he is going to make it. Shino then says he's sorry to hear that. Fast forward, Shino asks Bibli again. Bibli is still in debt by the same amount, and Shino then asks for the login to make sure it's not chargebacks. Bibli states that it's not and that the debt is on her private PayPal. Shino then insisted on trying to get the login to her private PayPal, stating that he still wants to see the recap on how much was spent or some shit. Bibli says that she will send a picture instead. Shino then says if Bibli has her account linked to Stream Element payouts, it being personal or not doesn't matter and he needs to see it. It states that he has been in it before and he doesn't see why this is a problem now. Bibli states that Shino has only been in her business account and that she will check to see, but she knows that it's just the commission. Bibli says that she will check after stream. Hours later, Bibli shows this screenshot where you can see that she paid $1,411.55. Fast forward again, Shino responds to Bibli's text about still working to pay off the debt, saying that this is far off from this.
What?
And Bibli sends another screenshot of PayPal reminding her of her negative balance because she's confused on what Shino is talking about. Shino then says that Bibli shouldn't have used her personal account for business stuff.
Yo, niggas really be dumb as shit.
But if you did and it got mixed and went negative, I need to know when it did and why. But I need dates and times, not just screenshots of 39 days in Wells? Bibli's like, nigga, I already told you why I use my personal card. And Shino's like, but a personal card would have taken it out of your bank, not PayPal. Which I think bro has a point. Unless you use like a PayPal card. Bibli's like, well, what do you need to see? I'm giving you everything I have right now. Shino then asks for the login to her personal PayPal again, not just a screenshot. Shino goes on about how it's more for tax purposes since she is mixing business and personal accounts, and he thinks PayPal might be bugging since PayPal doesn't usually cover a payment that is $1,000. And he just wants to go in and figure out what happened. Bibli's like, cool, I'll figure it out with my mom's fiance, and says that she is not comfortable giving that type of information up. Shino then brings up the contract saying that he has the right to have access into her personal PayPal, citing that it's an audit. And Bibli states that, yeah, it's an audit, not an access into my account. You just have to see it, not log into my shit. And that she has provided enough for him to see, to which Shino disagrees. He says that he's even cool if she just screen shares her PayPal to him in a private call, since screenshots aren't an audit. Now, I did a little digging, aka searching Google to see if screenshots could be used as an audit evidence, and it can, but Google can be wrong. So if you're more smart than me, let me know in the comments. Bibli then asks if this was even still valid considering the contract is done. Shino says it is, and that if he has a reason to believe Bibli is hiding the bag or lying, bro can audit her shit to see if she was hiding shit while the contract was active. Bibli's like, nigga, I literally sent you a screenshot of everything. Shino's like, want me to take the legal route? Bibli went, I bet. Shino goes, oh, you do? So this just clicked. Remember when earlier Bibli said that Shino threatened her with a lawyer already? He was like, I said an audit, not a lawyer. I think Shotty was talking about this incident, right? It just clicked while I was editing. Bibli's like, I literally showing you screenshots of everything I have, and if you think I'm lying or hiding the bag, then that's a you problem. Shino was like, well, me and my accountant would still have to look through your PayPal next month for taxes, which I don't know if bro would have to look at it. Only the accountant would. He would only be able to look at the business PayPal, not her personal shit, at least from what I gathered. Bibli then states that she isn't interested in continuing, such re-signing the contracts, and she disagrees with some things. Shino says that's fine, you still have to pay me though for the last 3 months since she used his services, and states that he thinks it's best to have the convo now to keep it civil and talk about her exit. Bibli's like, let's talk later. Shino then tries to say no and calls Bibli a lot. Even her mom.
Weird.
Shino then began spreading lies to his other talents, becoming paranoid that they were all speaking behind his back. Bibli shows screenshots of her going to Plotty like 3 months prior to what we just talked about, stating that she heard from Amalisa that Shino might try to talk to her about something regarding thumbnails, but she isn't comfortable being alone with him. Plotty's like, why is Shino even worried about that shit? In hopes that it's not Lisa just trying to stir shit up. Apparently a month before that, Lisa hits up Bibli saying that a conversation between Bibli and Plotty was passed on to Guilty somehow, who then told Shino, to which Shino went and told Lisa that she is stressing them out by being stressed out. I know. Crazy ass game of telephone. I don't get it either. Bibli's like, huh? You've never stressed me out. I can't speak for Guilty or Plotty though, but I only talked to Plotty about my frustrations with Shino. You aren't a problem. That's when Lisa says, until Shino confronted me saying that Plotty said, you said that I said he was mad at her because she vented to Guilty, and Guilty said that I was stressing him out. Bro, I don't even understand whatever that sentence was. Bibli then states and shows screenshots of her confronting Plotty about the situation, to which Plotty basically stated that she hasn't said anything to Guilty, and that Guilty has been busy. Plotty hasn't even talked to Shino since she has been sick. Bibli also talks about Lisa and Shino talking privately about the situation at TwitchCon. Speaking of conventions, Shino insisted on Bibli flying to the convention out of concern for her panic attacks on a long drive, and he also insisted attending the con himself, to which Bibli made clear she wasn't really comfortable with that. After Bibli and Shino's departure from each other, Shino lies to his client saying that he offered to pay for her flight and Airbnb, when in actuality, Bibli already paid for the Airbnb. After this conversation, Shino then goes into the contract and changes the wording of the new contract, saying that the client would reimburse the manager for any travels. Whew. Okay, this is the last part other than the conclusion. So, Bibli has Hashimoto's disease. Damn it! This is an autoimmune disease that attacks your thyroid glands. This leads to hyperthyroidism, which throws your hormones all out of whack. Bibli states that she made this known off rip, and she talks about it heavily also just to let people know that if her mood shifts, they at least know what the contributing factor is. Shino, however, as you will soon see in the screenshots, states that he didn't know. Bibli also addresses the inappropriate message sent to Bibli regarding her discomfort in having a lewd stream. She did indeed plan them, but due to her thyroid issues, she would have a very low drive, but it gets weird. Again, I know this shit is long, but please go through it yourself, even if it's just a skim, because obviously I'm summarizing and paraphrasing and not stating everything with the utmost detail, but you know, let's get into it. August 13th, 2024, Bibli tells Shino that she is not comfortable with meeting this week due to how Shino been talking to her, saying that he is constantly lashing out. Shino retorts this by saying that he's just being more direct because she has been avoiding things, and that if Bibli thinks him telling her to not joke about killing someone is lashing out. I don't know what that's about. Bibli states that Shino saying that her triggers are hindering her and making her second guess her approach to streaming isn't okay. Shino states that he didn't say that and that he hasn't asked her to play any water triggering games, saying that he said the triggers are meant to be addressed, not ran from. Bibli responds to a message we can't see and says that she has addressed them, saying that she talks about it openly and that she can't play water games or she will have a panic attack. Bibli just states again that she isn't comfy with meeting that week, saying that he is lashing out on Lisa and her. Shino states again he wasn't lashing out. It's basically a back and forth argument like most screenshots we've seen at this point. Shino states that he is not going to wait and that he was being direct because of the 3 to 4 weeks of being avoided, and even asks if they should just quit. Bibli responds saying that she is clearly depressed and that she hasn't been talking to anyone other than her community members and her server, and states that she is not intentionally avoiding him. Shino says that he understands and that it is his job to help. I think Shino meant to say he doesn't know much about her condition, but he does know why she isn't crazy about the doctor and that they can just call. He states that he has been busy, but he has canceled plans, skipped streams, and basically made other sacrifices to meet with Bibli, and even asked how things are doing. Bibli says that it's hard to realize when you're in that position and that the doctors have to check her blood for hormonal balance. Shino asks if they know the cause, and Bibli says it's hyperthyroid. Shino says he wasn't aware.
You lying.
2 days later, Shino asks Bibli if what she was talking about on stream was directed at him. Bibli says it was directed at everyone to explain why she has been that way. Shino says that it's hard to not take some things personally. Bibli states that yes, she's hurt, but nothing was directed at you or even a hint. Shino says that he is able to talk and states that he is a partner, not a teenager or a mod or a viewer. Bibli then says she is allowed to talk about her mental health, and that what Shino said hurt her and how she views her streams, and that she has told Shino about her issues since day one. Shino says that she can only see things from her POV, and that she didn't mention thyroid, to which Bibli was like, no nigga, I definitely mentioned thyroid. Shino continues to clash, and Bibli's like, nah gang, I definitely told you. And she even reassures that she wants to continue working with Shino at this point. It's August, so this is before the re-signing and contract shit. Bibli didn't plan on quitting or anything at this point. Shino then says, okay, but things were said that didn't need to be said in the way they were. Shino then brings up his father's funeral 1 year anniversary. Bibli says that she didn't know and apologized. Shino then says they're a family depending on me to communicate with them when I need something, but if I don't tell them, they will never know. Bibli's like, cool, but crashing out doesn't make it okay though. Shino then goes on about Bibli being upset that he assumed that she was up until 6 a.m. on VR chat when she was for 2 nights in a row, but not the third. Is okay, because this isn't true. Bibli would stay on VR chat until 3 a.m. her time and then wake up at 12 p.m. the next day. You know, time zones do exist, so it might have been 6 a.m. for him, but not for her. He says that she can be upset about that, but when he reaches out and get no response for a day, he can only assume. Bibli says that isn't the reason that she's tired, and Shino goes, I don't know that, because I don't know what you're doing, to which Bibli says that she can have a personal life outside of streaming. From this point, it goes into an argument regarding a prior mod and their friend that wrote a document on Bibli's flaws as a content creator. But why? Bibli says that she trusts him, but she felt a bit hurt that he didn't recognize thyroid issues, tiredness, and low energy being out of her control, and she knows she has talked to him about it before. Shino then promises that she never told him it was thyroid, but he does remember hormones, and remembers her saying that the doctors are unsure and want to do more blood tests. Bibli goes, gang, I've had thyroid problems for 5 years, and the doctors know what it is. They just don't know why I have seizures when they draw blood. Shino goes to say that this is miscommunication maybe, but it's cleared up now. But he still doesn't feel any better about it.
Don't care. Don't care.
And that's why it's best to probably take some time. Now, his girlfriend Lisa also hit up Bibli regarding that stream a few days afterwards, saying that Shino is upset with everyone and that he feels like people are ignoring his efforts. He states that the stream hurt Shino's feelings. Bibli states, well, he really hurt my feelings. Not saying it's fair, but he shouldn't have completely stripped her pride in streaming, and that she is allowed to talk about mental health in any capacity she wants. Lisa then explains that she isn't sure since she hasn't seen the VOD, but that Shino feels like Bibli made jabs at him. Bibli says that she did jab at him, but nobody knows it was directed at him besides her mods, and that Shino shouldn't have spoken to her that way. Which, low-key the opposite of what she said to Shino, unless we're talking about a different stream. Somehow, I don't know, the timeline eludes me here. Lisa understands and states that Shino is upset at everyone. Bibli apologizes for the way she came across and just hopes that this could all be dropped and everyone can move on. Now, the lewd streams.
Why is it spicy?
This took place slightly before the stream where Bibli vented. She goes to Shino expressing that the lewd streams are making her anxious and starting to think doing it for 3 days is a bad idea. Shino suggests that she tries to do it tonight and then decide tomorrow, and that maybe they should have a day off after each one, so they might skip tomorrow's and just focus on today. Bibli states that she just doesn't have the drive to actually do it, and due to that, it's intimidating, but she can try to push through it today and see how she feels tomorrow. Shino then asks if it's because she hasn't been stimulated recently. Bibli states that it's that and just her hormones and meds. Shino asks if there's anything different that she did prior that put her more in the mood.
Is this nigga serious or what?
Bibli just states that she was just looking forward to being in VR. That was the fun part for her. This is her first donathon where she was struggling with her mental and her relationship with streaming and constantly being live. She tells Shino that she's struggling mentally with stream constantly going, and Shino is like, alright, let's see what we can do to adapt it to your needs. Later, Bibli tells Shino that she talked to her therapist and that she thinks it's best that she just lets the timer run even during long breaks and sleeping. Shino says he understands and that maybe they will pause the event, but they can't have the timer going and not be live, and it's probably better just to set a hard cap. Bibli says she is cool with that and asks what the cap should be or how to do it, and then states that she would actually really like to have the timer run during breaks. Shino again says he understands, but they can't turn off the stream and still have the timer going. She tells Shino that she didn't really enjoy the donathon and that she is cool with finding other ways to go about it, and she doesn't want to do it in this format again. Shino agrees that this format is not ideal for the future, but questions Bibli's commitment as it felt that Bibli was trying to work against the event for the last few days. Bibli agrees that their goals weren't aligned as well as the commitment with the donathon, but she had to prioritize her mental health, and it was a large obstacle even with the accommodations. She lost 5 pounds and had a lack of appetite due to stress, and she didn't find ease throughout the event at all. Shino says that he hears what she is saying, but they never tried any of the changes. They agreed on doing it every other day, but ended up doing it daily, to making it only nights, but it happened in the morning. At the end of Bibli's doc, she talks about how weird it was that Shino had pushed back on letting her timer run while she was asleep or on breaks, but yet allowed his girlfriend Lisa, who debuted in February, timer to run while she was AFK or sleeping. She says that she feels Shino was undermining the idea that mental health really does determine the outcome for a stream. Back to where it all started. The conclusion isn't going to be heavily edited. This video is already like an hour and 30 minutes long. If I stutter, you're just gonna have to hear it. Now, me personally, I think it was just an overall just unprofessional mess. In my opinion, Shino is definitely shady and a loser, especially in terms of snatching Bibli's account, even though she clearly owns it per the contract. Also for being a bit aggressive and pushing in terms of wanting Guilty's model so bad that when he didn't get it, he terminated her. I think Shino is incompetent in fulfilling his duties when it comes to the clients, like giving clips, handling meetings, even just actually giving his time. And overall, just an inconsiderate asshole with the whole Bill Cosby situation that happened at TwitchCon, where he downplayed and even tried to blacklist dead-ass victims. As for the talent, it does seem like some feelings got... See, I knocked over a Sprite can. You're just gonna have to hear that shit. I'm not editing that out. As for the talents, it does seem like feelings got in the way of some of their actions, especially in regards to Bibli, which they have admitted to. Shino hasn't made a response to this document yet. When he does, I'll obviously make a follow-up video. But as my opinion stands now, Shino might be the worst manager I've seen thus far, and he needs to give Bibli her shit back. Obviously, don't go harassing anyone that's bitch shit. Instead, go show support to Plotty, Guilty, Orca, Ni, Bibli, and even Imuki. Oh, the sweet sounds of my intro. Let's go. I'll see y'all later. Peace. Please like and subscribe. This shit took way too long to make.